In the patio, framed by colorful oleanders and palms, fishermen gather for friendly food and drink in the evening as they tell again the old story of the big one that got away. The cottages in which our party lives look out through the trees across the broad white beach. There is a great profusion of tropical flowers, shrubs, and trees, a never-ending source of delight to the eye. Purple bougainvillea add a splash of gorgeous color, and there are tall oleanders in many shades, red, pink, and white. Vivid red hibiscus blossoms stand out against the rich green foliage along the winding paths. At the south end of the island, on the #1 green of the golf course, is the treasure hole, so named because a chest of Spanish coins is said to have been dug up nearby. Perhaps even now, some of Gasparilla's gold lies beneath one of these beautiful palms, or one of these luxuriant tropical trees. The legend of Giuseppe tells us that members of his crew returned to look for the treasure they knew was buried here long ago. And so perhaps the true story of their secret search lies hidden beneath the silent sands of this gleaming, wind-swept beach. The strange banyan or Indian fig tree is of particular interest on the island. Its leaves resemble those of the rubber tree. Like the common mangroves of the salt marshes, the banyan tree drops roots from its great, wide-spreading branches. When these roots finally reach the ground, they take hold and grow into accessory trunks which give the huge tree its additional support. The big banyan shown here is an unusually fine specimen, and the many trunks and hanging roots create a most unique effect. On the east side of the island, running out into the clear blue-green water of Pine Island Sound, is the swimming dock with its upper sundeck. It is just a step from the cottages to this white sand beach, which slopes into sheltered water. And because there are no cross currents or undertow, swimming is indeed a pleasure, whether it takes the form of an early morning dip in the tangy salt water or an afternoon stretch on the warm, soft sands of the beach. Every vista is a pleasing one, whether it looks out over the Gulf waters, or across to the distant shore of the Sound, or through the palm trunks which line the winding paths. It is indeed a tropical paradise. The big event, of course, is the first morning of fishing for the mighty tarpon, Silver King, said by many to be the gamest of the saltwater fish. Appropriately enough, Leslie Edgecombe's yacht, the Silver Dawn, is used as the mothership to the other boats, and we rise early to catch the morning tide. There are many things to do before the actual fishing begins. 6-foot stainless steel leaders are used. The tarpon has no teeth, but the line may chafe against his gill covers or be severed by his slashing tail. The hook is also of stainless steel, size 8/0 or 9/0, and the leader is attached directly to it. The other end of the leader is fastened to a swivel, which in turn is fastened to the line. With a double loop in the line, at least 18 inches to 2 feet in length, the end of the loop is pushed through the swivel eye far enough to permit hook and leader to be passed through. Then the line is drawn tight. A lead sinker is used, as the first fishing will be done in Boca Grande Pass, where the water is deep and the tide runs strong. Bait must be held near the bottom, 40 feet down. With a few twists of soft wire, the sinker is attached to the swivel and the leader. Here is the completed rig, ready for business. A large star drag reel is used on a strong line. For boating a fish, a strong release hook on a length of rope is better than a long-handled gaff. Now we are ready to start for the pass, 4 miles to the north. And we leave the island with keen anticipation. Our boat speeds through the water to Boca Grande, where large schools of tarpon are reported. There are other boats, too, in the party, for Boca Grande Pass is a favorite fishing spot. Although too deep for the tarpon trolling done in some waters, thousands of fighting silver kings congregate here, and the fishing is at its height in the month of May. So, on this fine May morning, the fishermen feel pretty good. And so do the fish. Hundreds of them roll and splash, their silver sides gleaming in the morning sun. Truly, this is a sight to thrill the heart of any fisherman. It won't be long now. The lines are being baited. We use small blue crabs about 3 inches across, the favorite bait in Boca Grande Pass. The hook is worked slowly and carefully through the tip of the shell so as not to break or injure the crab. Their claws have been removed for easier handling. Now the bait is ready, made to order for one of those mighty tarpon waiting in the waters beneath the boat. The next move is up to him, and the fisherman waits for that heavy, smashing strike. The method of fishing here is to run up to the tide, shut off the motor, and drift through the pass. To give the fish a break, a 12-ounce rod is used, or heavier if necessary, and as light a line as possible, depending upon the angler's skill. In the same waters where the pirate Gasparilla awaited his prey, our fishermen await the first lucky tarpon strike. And there's our first strike, a savage smash that bows the rod as the fish peels line off the reel in its first wild rush. Sturdy tackle counts here. The tarpon is well hooked, and it looks like a long battle for the fisherman. He retrieves the little line when the fish tries to rest, and little by little he brings the Silver King toward the boat. Sure, it's hard work, but it's plenty of fun. Out he comes, a flash of silver. Now, after a half hour, the great fish is beginning to tire, and our angler is still working on him. This is a tense moment in tarpon fishing, a time when many fish are lost. But the big fellow is handled carefully, and after almost an hour's work, the gleaming blue, bronze, and silver beauty is finally brought alongside. A fighter to the last ditch. The guide doesn't miss with his gaff, and the battle is over. A tarpon's mouth is hard and bony, with few places where a hook can take hold. This explains why so many fish are lost on the first jump. It's impossible to set a hook if it strikes one of these bony plates. When an angler boats a tarpon, congratulations are in order. It's a big moment in any man's life, and cramps in the elbow, backache, and sunburn are soon forgotten. It has slacked, and the morning fishing is over, so we head back to the island and a welcome rest in its cool shade. Gasparilla could not have been more proud of his booty, though his was gold and ours is a Silver King. Even the dog and billy goat meet us on the dock, and we know everyone is anxious to hear the story of our great adventure. Here is the once gallant warrior, every inch a fighter, from the tip of his great undershot jaw down to the fork of his mighty tail. Proudly we salute you, Silver King of the Gulf. The tarpon has powerful jaws, and this is what happens to a hook when he bites into it with those bony crushers. Many times a big fish will straighten such a hook or even break it. Our fisherman was just plain lucky. The second fish of our morning catch is held up on the dock for all to admire. To eliminate any useless slaughter of these gallant tarpon, it is customary to release all but exceptional catches, which of course must be hauled ashore and weighed for the Button Award. Scales are saved for the clubhouse records. Sometimes a scale from a big tarpon is as much as 4 inches in diameter. Now we head for the open Gulf for devilfish or manta ray. Our keen-eyed lookout scans the waters for one of these huge creatures, which often weigh a ton or more. A school of porpoise rolls lazily off our port bow. All hands watch for the curling wingtips and dark shadowy form of the great sea bat, the giant ray. There he is, just beneath the surface, which means our guide will have to get busy with his harpoon. It looks easy, but it isn't. And if he misses on the first throw, there's nothing to do but try again. Sometimes the second attempt isn't any luckier, and the manta stays unconcerned on the surface. 3 strikes is out in any league. Homeward bound, we see a large sea turtle, one of the loggerhead variety. Farther inshore on Pelican Island, we see some of these funny fellows paddling around. Hundreds of them fly in every evening to roost on this island. Clumsy to the eye, these birds are magnificent flyers and come coasting in for perfect landings among the mangroves, where they sit solemnly with bills tucked down. As the tide turns, a half hour or so before sunset, the tarpon really begin to strike again. And so, back in Boca Grande Pass, we find that many of the boats are already out for some evening fishing. At this time of day, fishing can be at its best. This angler is already busy as a hooked fish jumps and tarpon roll on every side. Occasionally, a hooked fish will make a wild leap and land in the cockpit of a boat. And make no mistake about it, one of these big fish threshing around can really tear up the works. It is hard to imagine any finer fishing than here in Boca Grande Pass when the tarpon are really running. Records show that fishermen from this island alone have caught over 17,000 of these silver warriors. Many thousands of these, of course, were released. It must be remembered that only the prize fish are brought to shore. And too, for every tarpon brought to boat, at least 5 others threw the hook on their first or second jump and escaped. So there is no way to estimate the number which have been hooked in Boca Grande and Captiva passes since tarpon fishing first became a sport. But this we do know, it is truly a fisherman's paradise. We are flushed with a sense of victory. Fishing does that. The spirit of adventure is part of it, riding against a moving sea, then winning over a denizen of the deep. Our day has been spent in harmless sport, for we gave back to the waters the silver that belonged to them. Gasparilla, on the other hand, took millions in gold and would have given nothing back if fate had not taken it away. So we wonder as we return to Gasparilla's favorite rendezvous, what his last thoughts were as his ship and its precious cargo of $30 million sank in these waters. Perhaps only the sun dipping into the waters at the horizon holds the key to the legend of Giuseppa.